and learn all of those different perspectives in terms of what has happened. If you get to a point where you can take an AP history class, I know that's a student who has a lot of confidence, because this is a student who's not so uncomfortable with the past that they can't bear to confront it and can't bear to look at certain things. I encourage your objectivity. I encourage also your subjectivity. There are certain perspectives and some stories that are often not included in history. But if you know what has really happened, then you can also interject some of those points. But there's some basic facts that you do need to know. So when you're taking the world history class, by all means start to look forward to taking certainly U.S. history and the AP course that you may decide to take as a junior or possibly as a senior will really set you on your way. I started out talking about looking at language or looking at English, particularly literature and language. Well, one of the things that's very important is your ability to read, to generate questions from what you have read, and then to be able to articulate it. You know, there are many of you out there who may be thinking of a career in law. I applaud you for that. I encourage you, learn history extremely well, but learn language. What is law but language? What does a lawyer do? He or she spends a lot of time, a lot of energy articulating a particular point, articulating a particular perspective to either have an impact on the judge, an impact on a grand jury, an impact on a jury in terms of criminal law. It's language that's going to make that difference. It is language that is going to truly help that particular individual who's representing a client or representing a particular class of individuals, to help the people sitting in judgment to become successful in reaching the conclusion that you want them to reach. It's all about language. And the preparation for that language lies in literature, lies in reading, lies in interpretive skills that you will learn from those classes, from those abilities to look at this situation presented in literature and make certain analyses and learn how to articulate it. There are so many people out there, their minds are so full, but because they haven't gotten in the habit of being able to articulate, they end up with this sort of fuzzy area and can't bring out to the surface the many thoughts and feelings and emotions that are there inside. You know what's going to help you do that? Those honors courses, those AP courses, they're going to influence your level of confidence. They're going to make you be able to be a person who can negotiate any kind of arena that they choose to enter in. But those are some of the basics that certainly you should be thinking about. I know there are going to be other things in your schedule. You're going to have to take gym. You're going to have to take it. But at the same time, hopefully you're not going to let the non-cerebral courses, the non-academic courses, outweigh your ability to get as much as you can out of the school system, to get as much as you can out of what the information is out there for you to get. There's so much information, and you should just make it your task to get as much as you can. Sometimes learning is not always presented as something that's enjoyable. You know, this time of the year, it's almost August, and I'm fascinated sometimes when I see some of the commercials that are directed to young people. Usually I think that there's one store chain that has a commercial. Yes, it's back to school time, and you see the picture of these long drawn faces of these children as if they're about to be led to a torture chamber. You know, my goodness, there's a subliminal message being sent to you as a learner that this is something to dread. Hey, let's alter that. Let's bring that to a halt. Because number one, your job should be to get every piece of information you can out of that school, every piece of information you can out of your teachers, who should be your partners in terms of building a foundation for yourself. And it's a different way of thinking. We will talk later. I know that there are other issues and challenges that you have. I know that there are issues in terms of the social pressures that are there. And sometimes there are those pressures not to appear to be as intelligent as you are. Well, we'll talk about that later. But the fact of the matter is, I want you to understand that you have a certain frame, a framework in your mind that, oh yes, of course, every year I've got to graduate with 4 years of English on my transcript, and at least 2 of those years are going to be in something advanced level, honors and AP, or a second honors course if you're not in the AP. But there are other courses. Almost every discipline offers the AP. Now, I know that every school doesn't have it. You want to find out what schools do, what schools don't, and make sure your goal is to get as many of them on your transcript as you can. Push yourself. You are smart. You know, I'm fascinated when I hear people, they'll talk about how many times that they can't, oh gosh, we always have to memorize certain things, or some of these things just really don't speak to me. Yet at the same time, that same student can turn around and recite the latest rap record that they've heard. Well, if you can rap, you can read. And if you can read, you can articulate. And that is what I want you to start thinking about doing. The fact of the matter is, there are a lot of pressures out there, unfortunately, from us adults that are throwing out a mixed signal to you, a signal not to be intelligent, a signal not to achieve. You've got to be able to be a wise consumer and say, you know what, I'm rejecting that message. That message isn't good for me. And trust me, there are a lot of predators that are out there trying to derail you, but there are ways to stay on track. This is certainly about you being wise, being smart, and making those right steps towards getting that first degree. So keep in mind what you should be taking. Yes, English every year. 3 out of your 4 years, you are going to take a language. And if you are particularly strong in it, you're going to take a second language. At the same time, you know you're going to be taking science with labs, not some science for fun or an overview of science. I don't encourage you to take some of those, what I call watered down courses, Health Professions of America. What kind of discipline is that? What kind of academic track is that? That's a course for people to do something for 45 to 50 minutes in a classroom. That's not going to be giving you the kind of course that you really need, that you're going to get a foundation and you're going to be able to go in so many different arenas. So I certainly want you to start thinking differently. Think about those 3 years minimally of math that you're going to be taking, and understand the social sciences that are going to give you certain skills and some exposure to different arenas in terms of how the world actually works. You know, you may hear things on the news, and there are all kinds of crazy things on the news right now in terms of deficit, debt ceiling, and all these things that are going on in terms of getting our budget ready for certainly the next year, 2 years, what's going to happen. And a lot of these things you may just sort of say, it's the news, I'll turn it off. You know why you're probably not in tune with it? Because you haven't been encouraged to look at past policies. Past policies are being given to you in terms of your history classes, in terms of your social sciences. Understand how people are manipulating an awful lot of things. If you have an idea of what's happened in the past, you'll understand why things are going on right now as they are. Anyway, I could go on about this for days, but I do want you to start thinking about the minimum that you're going to walk out of school with at the end of your high school experience, ready for school, ready for your university experience, with no less than this general framework that's going to make you a solid, and the operative word is solid, competitive candidate for college. Now, you've heard me say before, yes, anyone can get admitted to college. But, you know, you want to be able to enter your freshman year with advantages. You want to have the advantage of, number one, being truly prepared. Because there are plenty of people who are admitted to school who are not prepared. Let's face it. But, on the other hand, not only do you want to be prepared, you want to have some advanced credit under your belt. You want to be able to negotiate that entire university experience and look forward to it. Skills built, all intact, ready to go, and not coming in with a deficit yourself. I'll stop for now. Anyway, be wise, be smart, because you know you are bound for that first degree. Take care, have a good day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.